So, when we mention integers as a concept, we are talking about all of the whole numbers that we are already familiar with, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. However, we also include the negative numbers, which would be -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. Basically, they are all the numbers that are not composed by a fractional or decimal part. For example, if we have 1 over 2, this cannot be an integer because it is equal to 0.5 and it does not complete, so we have at least a natural number, or in this case, 1. On the other hand, if we have a number like 0.33, this is equivalent to 1/3, which is also a fraction. Decimals and fraction often complement each other, and either one or the other cannot be integers. There are multiple ways in which we can get familiar with integers. One of them that is a common example of in real life is thermometers. For example, numbers above 0 are hot days and number below 0 are cool days. We can think about integers this way or throughout a number line. This is a number line, and it's a great resource that we can use to make basic operations. For example, on the right side, as you can see, we have the positive numbers. On the left side, the negative numbers, and on the middle is 0, which is a neutral number. Just write it down. In this case, 0 is not an integer, since it is not a number as a whole and basically just represents nothing. Now, as I mentioned, integers can be applied while doing addition, subtractions, multiplication, or division. And the number line is a very good resource and is very useful if we want to do any of those things. First, I'm going to show you an example of addition with money. Let's just say I have $3 and I owe $5 to the bank. If the bank takes away from me the amount that is required, my balance would be of -$2. In a mathematical expression, we would have 3 plus -5. Now, plus and the negative sign give us negative sign, so we will just remain with this, basically 3 minus 5, which also gives us a result of -2. So in this case, subtracting a negative will be like moving forward in this number line. Let's just take, for instance, 2 minus -3. When we have these both signs being the same, like negative and negative equals positive, according to the law of the signs. So we would basically have 2 plus 3, which is equal to 5. So taking this into consideration, if we have 2 and we want to subtract a -3 that has now turned into a +3, and we would have to do a sum, this is what we would get. 1, 2, 3. We also get 5. Alright, so when it comes to multiplication and division of integers, it's important to keep in mind that there is some rules that we have to follow. In this case, the I would say sign rules or sign laws. I don't know how you know them, but basically they indicate what our number or our final result will be, considering the signs that the numbers that we are going to multiply or divide have. For example, as we can see in multiplication, if we have a positive number multiplied by a negative one, we get a negative result. if we have a negative number multiplied by a positive, which is basically the same as the first one I mentioned, our result will also be negative. If we have two positive numbers, obviously our product will be positive. However, if we have two negatives, our product will also be positive. Basically, we could view this as the fact that two numbers with different signs equal a negative, but two numbers with the same signs equal a positive result. The same happens in division. If we have a positive number divided by a negative one, we get a negative result. If we have a negative number divided by a positive one, we have a negative result. If we have two positive numbers divided by each other, we have a positive result. And if we have two negative numbers divided by each other, we have a positive result. Now, let's apply this to actual exercises. Let's just say we have -5 times 2. Anyway, as we can see, the rule that would apply is this one, as we have a negative number multiplying a positive one. Anyway, now we do our multiplication as we would naturally do it. 5 times 2 is 10. And as we are supposed to have a negative result, we are just going to add the negative sign. Now let's do a little division. Now let's just say we have -4 over 2. In this case, we have a negative number that is being divided by a positive one, which will also give us a negative result. So now we divide 4 by 2, that is 2 with our negative sign. Let's do another exercise. Let's do -12 times -9. So in this case, aside from multiplying the numbers, we also multiply the signs. And as you can see, minus and minus gives us a positive result. So keeping that in mind, we will multiply 12 times 9, which is 108. And the negative signs automatically become a positive one. So we have positive 108. The same thing applies to division. If we have -10 over -5, these two negative signs cancel out, and we just have 10 over 5, which will give us 2. Anyway, for practice purposes, I will be leaving you a few exercises that you can do. So if you want to try them, you can pause the video because I am also going to respond them. So I'll give you guys a second. Okay, so in the first one, we have 23 minus -17. Here, naturally, these two would become a positive sign considering the laws of the signs. So we would now have 23 plus 17. That naturally would give us 40. So in the second one, we have -6 times 9. Obviously, negative and positive equals negative, so we will have a negative result. 6 times 9 is equal to 54. For the third one, 48 divided by -6. In this case, we also know that positive and negative in division equals a negative result. So 48 divided by 6 would give us 8. With a negative sign will be -8. For the next one, we have -14 plus 4 times 5. Considering the order of operations that I will also be making a video on that soon, we first have to multiply before doing any additions. So 4 times 5 is 20. And we have 20 plus -14. 20 plus -14, which will give us 6. There you go. Now, we have negative 36 divided by 3 minus 7. Negative 36 divided by a positive number will give us a negative result. So we would have negative 12. Now, negative 12 minus 7 would give us negative 19. So here you have the result, negative 19. And now for the last one, we have negative 7 plus 12. Here our result would be 5. And that is all.